You all set?
Yes.
Good evening and welcome to the June 27th, 2017 meeting of the Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen. May we have a roll call, please?
Present is Selectman Scasiotti, Selectman Whiteside, Selectman Slavin, Selectman Titlebaum, Town Administrator Mr. Sullivan, Town Council Mr. Bowen.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. Nah, I'll save her for later.
Okay, never mind.
Lydia, would you lead us on the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Announcements. Selectman Scasiotti?
Nothing, sir.
Selectman Whiteside?
Yes. This upcoming weekend, there are several affairs on the 1st of July, starting at 10 o'clock in the morning with a blessing of the fleet. I was going to do it from memory, but I'll do it
There you
from
go.
that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I might get it right.
Never mind.
Onset Pier 10 to 1, annual blessing of the fleet, boat parade, also followed by a kids' pet doll carriage and bicycle parade. If you put your pet in a doll carriage, please make sure you have water for the pet and yourself. Bandshell, 1 to 4 p.m. Enjoy local favorites, Pocketful of Soul, performing all those great soul, funk, and R&B tunes you will not want to miss. I can't look at you while I'm doing this. Onset Ave starting at 6 p.m. Enjoy a good old-fashioned block party. Swim, picnic, and hang out with family and friends. Onset Ave will be closed to traffic. After sunset, end your day with a spectacular Onset Wareham fireworks display. View them from your balcony, the beach, or an amazing bird's eye view from one of our water view third-floor rooms. Book a room at the Onset Inn at Onset Bay. I would remind everyone that fireworks are illegal in Massachusetts, except when they are detonated by people who have the correct licensure. I also would remind people,
Sorry.
That was quite proper.
I also would remind people that there are laws against putting your animal, your fur baby, in a car and leaving it for more than 32 seconds. You can actually go to jail after you have killed the animal in the car. Under the law, people can actually break into your car after they've tried to find you and rescue the animal. Don't do that. It's just plain rotten and mean. The law also extends to tying a dog, particularly, to a parking meter for more than a specific period of time without water and shade. So the other thing is there are no dogs allowed on any beach in the town of Wareham at any time during the day or the night. At some point, somebody went around and put parasols on all the little piles of dog poop. It was very, very funny. What's not funny is the yuck that's going into our waters from the piles of dog poop. So, let's try and clean it up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Have a wonderful 4th.
Thank you for that recitation of our bylaws. Anything, Clerk Slavin?
Still recovering from the fireworks.
What?
Never mind.
I think they're picking on me.
No, there's just no extra fireworks besides what happens at Onset, obviously.
Oh, yes, there are.
Right. Okay, number 1, we have a meat raffle. Fairview Restaurant, Sunday, July 23rd, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. The meat raffle basket's going to include steak lovers basket, seafood basket, barbecue basket, chicken basket, ham basket, picnic basket, and if you're unlucky like me, no basket. Winners will be able to take home featured meats plus ingredients for a delicious meal. Come on this Sunday afternoon and enjoy a fun time. Bonus prizes too. Proceeds to benefit the Oak Grove Cape Verdean Cultural Center, Inc. Building Fund. Okay,
Did that
Mrs.
one.
Whiteside read that. On July 4th, Wareham Historical Society has their annual fair, and this year, actually, the fair goes about from 8 o'clock to 2 p.m. Thank you, dear. And also, we'll have a car show for the first time ever, so it'll be the first annual car show on basically over at the Tremont Nail Factory, which is Elm Street. It's open to all vehicles that are custom vehicles of any kind. There'll be dash plaques for the first 100 vehicles, and Mr. Sullivan has generously given us porta potties, so we don't have to worry about the dogs. That's it.
Can I bring my clean car?
No.
Does that count?
The board will not be meeting next week in the annual observance of the 4th of July holiday. We will meet on the 11th. I've yet to determine a summer schedule. I have one member in particular who would not like to meet every week, so I've got to see if I can mollify her.
See, they are picking on me.
When you say her, that means
It's just really bad.
you've directed to somebody, actually.
You think so?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
okay. Everybody have a happy and safe 4th. If you are going to play with illegal fireworks, don't do what I did when I was a kid. Chew gum, chew gum, chew gum, play with your gum, and then go to huck the firecracker and have it blow up in your finger. That doesn't work so well.
Don't aim the tube to your house either.
No, I wasn't showing the firework. I would like to mention that the Wareham Police Department has been particularly vigilant and effective lately in catching criminals engaged in activity. I just wanted to give them a little bit of a shout out. I think sometimes we take this as just routine business. Sometimes what they've been doing lately is frankly spectacular. I'd actually like to arrange to have the chief come in and represent the department sometime next July and praise them in person that way. And I think that's it. Do we want to just get the one, do we want to skip to the hearing at 7? Because we have others that are scheduled out. We can get back to citizens' comments. The
Okay.
appointments.
Well, the first hearing we have is Stone Path Malt LLC, Mark A. St. Jean, manager, 11 Kendrick Road, Wareham, Mass., for an annual common victuals wine and beer license, wine and malt license, which I think we're going to do a seasonal, correct?
Yeah.
Could be a change there. Why don't you
Okay,
gentlemen come forward?
Come on up. Motion to open the hearing, please.
Motion so made?
Second.
Motion made by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. Roll call vote. Selectman Scasiotti?
Yes.
Yes.
Selectman Slavin?
Yes.
Titlebaum, yes. Okay, the vote to open the hearing is 4-0-0. Gentlemen, good evening. So, we're glad to have you here. We understand that after quite a bit of back and forth between Mr. Sullivan and yourself and the ABCC and about 15 other parties, we've come to the conclusion that you're going to look for a seasonal license now, but that you would like to be included in a future special act district license, as we call them, for the full year going forward. Should we obtain one from the legislature?
Can we have them identify themselves for the record and the home viewers?
Sure.
We haven't got there yet.
My name is
Go ahead.
Mark St. Jean. I'm a co-founder of Stone Path Malt.
And my name is Mike Schroth, also co-founder of Stone Path Malt.
Okay. Why don't you tell us about
I'm only known right now as the Malt Guys.
the malt guys? Well, malt guys, why don't you tell us and the rest of the town a little bit about yourself and what you plan to do out there?
Mike and I grew up together out in Central Mass. We've known each other since we were 12, and in the spring of 2014, we decided to look at making a career change, doing something different, starting a business. And in the fall of 2014, Michael called me up from Whole Foods up in Nashua, who they have a craft beer bar right in the store, and he had happened to grab the ear of one of the local brewers and talked about the local supply chain for craft beer in the New England region. And you know, that conversation led to hops, malt, yeast, and water. Well, water's pretty easy, yeast is pretty easy, but where are you getting your local malt and your local hops. And after that conversation, Mike left the store, called me up and said, I've got our business idea, malt. I said, what is malt?
Well, this is malt. This is malt.
So Mike will,
And we supply in a 55-pound bag.
They can't hear you off record without the mic.
Sure. And I'll go back to my microphone. We supply malt in a 55-pound bag. It is contract produced for us through our partnership in Germany, and we import it through Boston Harbor. We take in 20 tons per container, 20-foot containers, 40-foot containers, and we intend to produce this locally here in Wareham. And basically, it's grain that has been soaked, germinated, and kilned. And craft brewers in New England use this to produce their craft beer. And currently, Massachusetts would rank 5th in the country in terms of volume of production of craft beer. So we would represent, as a New England region, we would represent the 5th largest state in the country. And I'll pass this around so you can take a look at it. But basically, these are a selection of our products. We have 12 products. And we'll extend that product range to 20 to 30 products once we're up and running and fully operational. So if you do a little research into beer tourism, you'll find that it's actually a very popular activity, not only here in New England, but around the country. And so that's something that we hope to bring here to Wareham.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
When do you intend to start production?
Q4
this year.
Yeah. We have the building under agreement at 11 Kendrick Road.
Right.
We're going through due diligence now. We anticipate that, we've talked to a number of banks. We anticipate financing to be available for us in September. Our equipment is scheduled to come over from Germany. It's a 10th generation beer equipment company. Everything's old over there. Our malt partner who provides our malt expertise and is contracting manufacturing for us now, who's also he owns a piece of our business. He's a 5th generation, they call them maltsters over in Germany. So,
What German brands does he supply to?
He supplies to a number of German breweries you might be familiar with. Augustiner would
Yep.
be one, the oldest brewery in Munich. Paulaner would be
Yep.
another. Kulmbach would be another.
Yep.
So we're very fortunate to have him, and he will assist us with the expertise to produce this product for us.
he actually assisted in designing the equipment. So we felt that when Mike and I were looking at this business, and we were looking at some pricing from Casper Schultz, who is our equipment provider, and we were like, boy, this business really can have some legs to it. The problem is neither one of us has malted one piece of grain. We got to go find the guy that knows how to do this.
Right. So you're looking for the master malter to show you what to do?
Exactly, at least initially.
Yep. Okay, any questions from the board?
Yes, so you are actually going to be taking the grain and fermenting, doing whatever it is that you do.
We'll malt it.
You're malting, okay. And,
The process is steeping the grain.
yep,
It starts to germinate.
yep,
That's a 2-day process. And this system is fully automated. So then it'll move to a germinating drum where the grain will rotate.
yep,
And then the last component is heating the malt, kilning it. And very simply, there's a lot more chemistry involved in this, but very simply, the The lower the heat, the less time, the lighter the malt, the lighter the beer. The higher the heat, the more time, the darker the malt, the darker the beer. So the malt gives the beer its flavor, its color, and that's what we'll be producing at 11 Kendrick.
Okay, so and you said kilning it, not killing it.
Killing it,
Kilning
yeah,
it.
with an
Kiln.
N.
Yeah, putting it through a kiln.
Heating it. Yeah,
Yes, obviously. So you will have a product,
yes.
which will be one of those flavors or one of the other, whatever ones you have. Okay.
Correct.
Do you know what a mummy chug is?
No, I'm afraid we don't.
Should have said yes.
A mummy
Scared
chug
us all.
is a fish that is native to the shores of Buzzards Bay. It's about this big.
Yes.
I just think mummy chug would be a sort of funny name for a beer.
For beer?
Never mind.
Or it could be like a mug of the month club.
Yes.
So we'll consider that. Judy.
We can do that.
That they haven't closed yet. Please don't scare them off.
Yeah. Actually, though, but to kind of wrap things up here, the reason for the liquor license is because of the craft beer tourism opportunity, which we're looking for not only our customers, but for craft beer drinkers to come to the facility, tour the facility, and then be able to come out, sample a malt, and sample a beer that was made from that particular malt. And that's really the educational element of our marketing plan, which will help our customers go to different breweries and identify or request our malt. So you think of Cape Cod potato chips or Ben & Jerry's type of experience, that's the experience we hope to have here.
Excellent. Thank you.
Selectman Scasiotti?
All set. Thank you very much.
Clerk Slavin?
When you bring the containers in, just out of curiosity,
Sure.
20 or 40, are you going to fly or you have them by boat?
It's all done ocean container.
Okay.
And so at the moment, we bring that in both through Boston Harbor and through Montreal.
You truck it down
And you
from
truck it.
railroad?
We store it in 2 silos in Vermont. There's infrastructure, the entire northeast of the country is supplied through a trucking company in northern Vermont that stores bulk malts and then trucks it and blows it into silos at breweries. And so we have 2 silos up there, 230,000 pounds each, that we store bulk malt. And the other stuff is in a bag.
And when you do this process and stuff down here, are you going to try and teach people who want to get into the craft beer business as well at the facility here, when you have your
We won't-
tasting room or anything?
We won't be brewing. We won't be brewing, and we're not brewers. We're maltsters.
Okay.
But we will supply small kits of malt for home brewers.
Okay.
So the homebrew market is another multi-billion-dollar market, and there's a number of local groups on the South Shore that we supply to, and so we'll have that available in a retail store for any home brewers who want to come by, and happy to assist them
Good.
in any way.
I just wanted to get it out to the public, what
Yes.
we're going to have here. Thank you.
That sounds great. My pleasure.
Okay. Anything else? I do have a yen for the Kulmbacher Hefeweizen, so when the maltster from Germany comes over,
We'll be happy to do it all.
just saying. Okay, is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of the license being granted? Okay, seeing none, is there anybody here who is opposed to the license being granted? Okay, also seeing none, anything more from the board?
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion to close the hearing by Selectman Whiteside, seconded by Selectman Scasiotti. Roll call again. Selectman Scasiotti?
Yes.
Selectman
Yes.
Whiteside? Clerk Slavin?
Yes.
Titlebaum, yes. Okay, the hearing is closed. Can we have a motion on the license, please?
Make a motion for a seasonal license for Stone Path Malt. I believe, give me a second going through all the paperwork.
LLC.
LLC, we're using the P.O. Box at 444 East 3rd Street for now? Okay. P.O. Box E7, 444 East 3rd Street, and that's South Boston, Mass. 02127.
Second.
Okay, motion by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. Because we weren't quite certain until the last minute what sort of license you would be getting, we're going to have it typed up in the office. We'll notify you.
It's actually
I've got
You got it taken care of?
Yeah, Janet was wonderful and took care of it. So
Okay,
we
great.
can- If we do it tonight, we can zip it out tomorrow morning, get
Yep.
everything going.
Okay. Well, you gentlemen are all set. Good luck, and let us know when you're up and running and when that Cohnbacher comes in.
And thank you very much for choosing to do business in Wareham. We very much appreciate that.
Yes, we do.
You do.
Appreciate it, looking forward to it.
We look forward to them. They're going to be partners for the community, so we're really excited about it. So thank you, gentlemen.
Good luck, guys.
We're going
Thank
to
you.
malt together. Just for the audience and everybody else, the green cards went out for the abutters and stuff, and we have a copy of two that came back. We also have some kind of order or something else behind the green cards, but that's okay.
We thought it might be a secret recipe at one point.
No, it's not a check, but it's, we can try brewing it anyways.
Okay.
Now, we're going to have to sign
next,
something here?
Let's see, we have an application from Barnacle Bob for a public amusement on weekdays license.
I don't see anything
Okay.
there. I don't see anything there.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board.
Howard, how are you?
Thanks.
So you're looking for a pool table?
Yes, Mr. Selectman, Tim Schiffoni, BB's Bar and Grill, 2424 Cranberry Highway, and it is an application for amusement license for one pool table. We're trying more and more to compete in this very competitive corporate environment that we seem to be living in. Trying to distinguish ourselves from these corporate establishments somewhat by the keno, and we thought that one pool table might fit in well with regard to our somewhat middle-aged clientele that would enjoy billiards.
You mean your somewhat youthful clientele? Yes. Where do you intend to have the pool table in relation to the bar?
It will be primarily in the function room because it has a dolly actually on the pool table, so it can be moved from section of the function room to another section of the
Okay.
function room. So it'll be distant and apart from the bar area.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is actually a hearing, so I've got to have a motion to open the hearing. You've given
So
us the
moved.
background. Seconded by Selectman Scasiotti, motion by Selectman Whiteside. Roll call vote. Scasiotti, yes. Selectman
Yes.
Whiteside, yes. Clerk Slavin, yes. Titlebaum, yes. Okay, so we actually, we got the background, but I think anybody who was here heard it. Are there any questions from the board about the application for a pool table?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what your answer to where it's going to be located was.
The pool table is going to be located in the function room area, so it'll be distant and apart from the bar area, and it will lend itself to being transported or moved from one section of the function room to the other because the pool table is on a dolly of a sort, so when there are functions, we'll be able to move it out of the way.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions from the board, or?
Hours going to stay the same, no change with that?
I'm sorry, Mr. Selectman?
Timmy, no change in hours at all?
No change in
With
hours.
the pool, thank you.
Okay.
No questions.
Is there anybody here who'd like to speak in favor of the application for a pool table? Is there anybody opposed to the application for a pool table? Okay, seeing none, I'll...
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Motion to close the hearing by Selectman Whiteside, seconded by Selectman Scasiotti. Roll call vote. Selectman Scasiotti?
Yes.
Selectman
Yes.
Whiteside, yes. Clerk Slavin?
Yes.
Titlebaum, yes. Hearing is closed. Can we have a motion on the application for the pool table, please?
Make a motion to provide to Barnacle Bob's Inc., DBA Barnacle Bob's and/or BB's, 2424 Cranberry Highway. Make a motion to grant them a pool table license table,
No.
which is really interesting. The permit is granted in conformity with the statutes and the ordinance related thereto and expires December 31st, 2017.
No. Should be a public amusement,
That doesn't,
Well, it is a public amusement, but this is the actual license.
but that's not the way to do it.
I know, but it's what it actually is.
Second?
It's under the Chapter 136 of Mass General Laws also.
Okay, motion by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. You're all set. This will be available for you in the office tomorrow.
Thank you very much, and have a nice evening.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Have a good 4th.
Let's see. I'll do the 1 days, because we're not quite at 7:30 yet. We have a request from Richard Souza for 2 one-day liquor licenses for Sunday, August 6, 2017, and Sunday, August 13th, 2017. You got those?
Yep. Nobody here? All right. First one is a license for Richard Souza, 758 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. Redmond Hall, actually Redmond Hall Grove, 758 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. All alcohol, nonprofit organization. They have their insurance licensing, everything that's normally
Yep.
required. It's the annual event they do, and I believe it's for, let's see what we got.
What are the
Annual
hours?
clam bake on this first one. This will be Sunday, August 6th, and from 12 noon to 5 p.m. on this one.
Okay, is that the motion?
Yes, it is.
Second. What's the location?
Redmond Hall.
Thank
Okay, we have a motion from Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor of granting the 2 one-days, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, 400. They're both granted. And that brings us up to 7:30.
One more. We only read one. There's 2 more.
Oh, you didn't do them both?
No, did one at a time.
Oh, okay. Thought you had them both.
Second one again is for, through Richard Souza, again for the Redmond Hall Grove, 758 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. License is granted as a motion in conformity to the statutes. For family reunion, this will be at August 13th, 1 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Redmond Hall.
Second.
Okay, motion by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. So number 2 is granted. Okay, that brings us up to item 7C, hearing on the application for an alteration of premises and change of location for a year-round retail packaged goods store, all alcoholic beverages license to Patriot Spirits, Inc., doing business as Liquor and More, 1618 Seth Toby Road, Wareham, Mass., under the provisions of Chapter 138 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Dan Chamberlain, and I represent Liquor and More. Before I get started, I do have the returned green cards for the notice to abutters. I can give them to
The clerk. Yep.
Clerk Slavin now.
Motion to open the hearing?
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion to open the hearing by Selectman Whiteside, seconded by Selectman Scasiotti. Roll call vote.
Yes.
Selectman Whiteside,
Yes.
Selectman Sullivan,
Yes.
Titlebaum, yes. Okay, the hearing is open. You good with those?
Yep, we're all set, 3 and 3.
Okay, if you could just explain to the board
Yes.
and the public what's going on.
So there's actually 2 major components to this application. The first is a transfer and a pledge of a license from Rosebrook Wine and Spirits to Liquor and More. The second aspect of the application, which was public notice due to the change of location, which requires the notice to abutters. So the first part of the application, the transfer, to speak towards the operator, Liquor and More has been in operations since 2010, has currently 6 locations. Wareham would be its 7th. and under the current laws would be its last. The other locations are in Wellfleet, Orleans, South Dennis, Yarmouth, Bourne, and Plymouth. It has had a proven history of a successful operation and would look forward to doing business in the town of Wareham. The proposed manager for the transferee is Michael Patterson. Actually, we have two of the three owners of Patriot Spirits, DBA Liquor and More here, Mr. Chamberlain and Mr. Patterson. The proposed manager for this location is Mr. Patterson. He has, over the years, managed numerous locations, and he's currently TIPS trained. He has a college degree and has been in the liquor business since the inception of the company in 2010. He's the current president. As to this change of location, the proposed change is from 20 Rosebrook Place, which is a current store of approximately 2,900 square feet. The new location is two parcels combined into one, 1618 Seth Toby Road. That location, the building would be a total of approximately 7,000 square feet. The floor space would be approximately 7,300 square feet and a cooler space of 1,120. That would be about 20 doors. It's less than a mile from the current location. The zoning is commercial. The size for the new location is needed to fit the Liquor and More model. As you know, with a business with multiple locations, it's important to have consistency throughout the location so that we can offer our customers the same amount of products at each location. I think as of now, that's about it. I can answer any questions the board has at this time.
Selectman Scasiotti? No. Selectman Whiteside?
Yes, I do. I don't believe it may be in the packet. Do you have a proposed layout for this?
Yes.
Is that in the packet? I don't see it on my...
I do have extra copies of it. It was submitted.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, is that what this is?
It's in there.
Okay. So the current location is how many square feet, and yours is, the proposed new location is how many square feet, please?
The current location is 2,900 square feet, and the proposed change in location is 7,000 square feet.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I've got a few I'll put up on me a little bit. We'll be building a brand-new building, so we'll be tearing down the two homes on Seth Toby Road, correct?
Correct. The landlord would be building that building.
Okay. Who is going to own the land?
An entity called Mid-Cape Development, LLC.
Is that somehow related to the actual Liquors and More owners?
There is some overlap, but it's a completely separate entity and has different ownership, has no interest in the alcohol license whatsoever.
Okay. The other question I have is, obviously, this particular business will comply with existing zoning, or are you going to have a variance to put the liquor store there?
No, my understanding from the landlord is that they are going to begin the as-of-right site plan review process, and that it is in the appropriate zone, and that information has been submitted to the appropriate offices.
Okay. The building being 7,300 square feet doesn't require sprinklers. I assume you stayed under the 7,500 for that reason?
Absolutely.
Okay. I've got one other issue that kind of, it doesn't bother me, but just you have to understand that this particular business that ended up at Rosebrook originally started over next door to the Mill Pond Diner, and that license there basically was owned by the Makepeace Company, because they own the Mill Pond store and stuff. That license then was asked by this particular board to move up to Rosebrook so they could have a business that could sell liquor, at that location, because that license was assigned to, I believe it was 20 Rosebrook I think it's at Unit 2, if I remember right. And now we're taking that license and we're pulling it out of Rosebrook altogether and moving it to a whole different location. This license is not locked into that location, but this particular board kind of went out of their way a little bit to provide, help to A.D. Makepeace Company back then. I have a little bit of a concern that we should be doing a little more diligence to make sure there isn't some kind of background with this particular license when it got moved, that it was under the assumption it would stay at Rosebrook. I would like to continue the hearing till 2 weeks from now, just to make sure there are no loose ends, because anytime you feel like there's something that could be there, it always makes me nervous. I like to be sure what's going on. I know you give me the funny look, but the problem is remember how this got done.
Well, I remember the Mill Pond Diner closed, and we were requested to give a 6-month extension without use
Right.
in order to move the business there. I'm a little... I mean, I guess I'm not really sure what the objection would be. I would assume that if the A.D. Makepeace Company were concerned about the migration of the license, we would have heard about that, or that they would have had somebody here at the hearing. I mean, that's the purpose of the hearing, is for people to come and speak in favor or against it. So I think we've noticed it. It's been out there. They certainly know what's going on. I don't think there's any secret there. So I guess I'm just a little puzzled as to why we would delay it where this is a public occurrence.
Just to make, my point is just to make sure that they do know about it and they do understand that it's not an issue. Because it was asked by this board to move the license from where it was, then to sell it to that location so they could actually have a license in there for a business.
Do you need to speak into the mic?
Sorry. I just want to make sure that that's...
Well,
not
let me
gonna
poll the rest of the board and see what they think.
There's going to be an empty store in number 20, Unit 2.
Yeah, well, I get that.
I do actually have, if you want to poll us now, but I actually do have some more questions, because this is the current layout. And you asked the question about going before the proper permitting authority, which would be either the planning board or the zoning board of appeals. What about traffic?
We would have to...
We don't get into the traffic, that's their
we don't do
purview.
that. All we would do, I think, at this point, because there is no building to move to, we could issue a license and hold it until the time they have an actual, place to move it to, because you're going to issue a license to an address on Seth Toby Road that doesn't exist right now, as far as the business.
Right, they're not going to be selling in the torn-out cellar hole, so...
No.
Well, it is the applicant's hope to operate in the current location while the building is being built, and then make the move when the,
Time.
pardon?
Can't do both at the same time, sir. If you're here, you should be here for a transfer of the license at the existing location,
Right.
not both.
Yeah.
I can't transfer, I
Yeah.
don't believe I can transfer to one place and then to another when one's going to operate and the other one's not. You will not have a license at Unit 2.
Yeah, you would have to treat it as a transfer to continue operating there, because the grant would be
can't
to the
do
new
both.
location.
Right.
It'll come back from the ABCC and it'll be
Yeah,
rejected.
they will deny it, so we'll save you that trouble. With that in mind, perhaps we should continue it until you figure out what you want.
I'd just like to wait 2 weeks just to make sure there's nothing hidden there and make sure you decide what you want to do, because I think you have to reapply. You can ask town council.
This was addressed early on prior to the application, and it was, we were recommended to apply for everything. We also have a current location where we're operating in one location, expanding to an adjacent piece of the property. So, the purchase of the license is contingent on the fact that the new location does get approved.
Understand that, but again, you're asking this board as a licensing authority to sit there and to authorize to go to ABCC a request for a license for one location, and you're going to operate at an old location
Right,
where
which
your
is-
license is not going to be there.
I'll make a motion to bring this back in 2 weeks. Because I believe that that's the proper way to do it, is to do one step at a time.
Let's hear from council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The type of application that you most often see for a facility that's not yet in operation is where someone is applying for a brand-new license, and the way they get financing to construct the building and so forth is to get the license. The issuance of the license is conditioned on following, whatever conditions you put in the approval. I will say theoretically, it is possible for you to approve the operation of this business at its current location and prospectively approve a transfer from one location to another on a date certain. I think for you to do that, you would certainly want to have the site plan in place, the conditions and so forth. Now, as to what you can look at for criteria to decide whether to approve it, because it's solely a transfer of ownership or a location, pardon me?
Right now, there's three components. There's the transfer, pledge, and change of location.
Okay, same owners.
Correct.
Okay, so you wouldn't be looking at the character of the owner because the character is presumptively satisfactory. You can look at the suitability of the new location. You can consider things like traffic, impact on the neighborhood, whether it's in an appropriate zone, without necessarily turning it into a zoning case, just site suitability. And then what debt is the pledge being used to secure?
The license and inventory.
The license and inventory.
Existing inventory?
You can't do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Part of the pledge process, it's in the application. I can refer you to the page.
yeah, well, under Chapter 138, Section 12, the requirement is that a pledge can be issued only to secure a debt. So, we'd want to, in 2 weeks, you'd want to see
Some sign of indebtedness?
you'd want to see the specific
Oh,
debt.
I'm sorry. The pledge is for the purchase of the business. We have a letter from Cape Cod Cooperative Bank, who does all the pledge work.
Okay.
For
So you're securing the loan with the pledge?
correct.
All right, okay.
Okay,
Well,
that takes care of that problem.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If you wanted to continue it for, you could do this if you wanted to get more information, perhaps bounce it off the ABCC as to target dates. It might be worth your while taking a couple of weeks. Plus, I think that for this to go forward, I mean, from a legal point of view, you would need to have a specific opening date for the new facility. And I don't have the application package, so I don't know if that is in there.
There is no spot for a specific opening date in the application, but the landlord expects the building to be open by Memorial Day of 2018.
Okay, so I think really in order, if you were inclined to approve staying open where it is and then transferring to a new location, you really need to have a specific date. You're going to have construction delays, change orders, and all that. But for that to happen, you would need that new date, and you don't have that right now. So I don't think you can really act on this as it sits.
Have a motion already made
One
to put
second.
it off for 2 weeks?
What I do know about the past location with Rosebrook is that though we were not part of it, when I explored this issue prior to submitting the application, that location was apparently the framework for this process. Which they had approval of a transfer and then a new location.
Yeah.
The difference there, I think, is that the former Mill Pond license was not then in operation. It was, I'll say,
It's held in abeyance almost.
held in abeyance, whereas what you're proposing really is different. You're proposing to continue to operate at the current location, and then on this unspecified date to shift operations to the new location. And I think for you to be able to do that, if the board were to approve it, you really need to have the date that the license picks up and walks down the street to the new spot, because,
Well, that could be a date set by the board.
well, but I think you need to help the board out a little more with when that's going to be.
Yeah, I think we're... So I guess the question is, what would we be doing 2 weeks? Yeah,
Well, I've been
we can
told-
continue it to them and then wait for more information from you.
Well, I've been told by the landlord that Memorial Day 2018 would be the time we're expected to be into the building by.
No, I will
It's a little too
repeat-
conditional, it's a
Yeah.
year off, so
I repeat my request
Well,
to
we're
postpone.
still discussing, so. I would put it off for a couple of weeks and see if you can firm up a little bit. I think that's the best avenue for you guys at this point. Scasiotti?
Yeah, I'd like to hear. It's too vague right now.
Okay, thanks. You agree?
Yeah, it's not to have any objection to the business coming in or anything else. It's just procedural matters here. We've run with the ABCC before, and because this was a very unique situation, how we did it originally, I just want to make sure that we're clean, and the particular company who we work with is on board as well, that there's not an issue that we don't know about. I don't know if there's some kind of an agreement that was done with Chris Smith, the original owner of when the liquor store went into Rosebrook or not. I have no idea. You probably don't either, but
I
there
have
may
no
have been
idea.
something that was assumed, just so we don't have an issue. It's not, I don't think 2 weeks is going to make much of a difference, but I'd rather be right than wrong.
Okay, there's a motion.
I understand you're frustrated.
Do we have a second? Motion to continue for 2 weeks? Okay, motion by Selectman Whiteside, seconded by Selectman Scasiotti, to continue the hearing for 2 weeks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. Okay, we'll come back to this on July, what is it, 11th?
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Sorry for the confusion, but there's no sense getting permitted here and then just shot down up there.
We have to close the hearing. Actually,
No, we
Close it up,
continued the
continue.
hearing, so we're not closing the hearing.
so we have to, don't we have to vote to continue the hearing, though?
We just did.
We did, yeah.
We voted to continue it to,
Okay, sorry.
The date
didn't hear.
specific, yeah.
I'm glad you didn't second it.
That's right.
You didn't know what it was. Yep, 7:15. 2 weeks. Have a good 4th.
Thank you, you too.
Make a note here so I can actually get that.
Yeah, make sure we get it scheduled.
Okay, that takes care of licenses and permits. Let's duck back to citizen comments. Anybody here to speak to the board tonight? Good evening.
Claire Smith. Since you're not meeting next week, it popped into my head that perhaps I just might mention that the Fairhaven Village Militia is having an encampment in conjunction with the Marion Cultural Council and Marion Recreation Department on Silver Shell Beach, July 8th and 9th. The Wareham Minutemen and Militia will be participating, as well as Hubbardston Militia. It's a full colonial encampment on the beach. So we'd like to welcome all the residents of Wareham to come out. There will be colonial demonstrations. There will be musket firing. There will be cannon firing. There will be cooking demonstrations, craft demonstrations. Usually, I believe Silver Shell Beach requires a permit. It would be waived on that weekend, so anyone is welcome to come over, use the beach, use the playground, and visit the encampment. I think it's going to be something that we haven't had since 2014 locally, that perhaps the Wareham residents might want to take advantage of. It should be a very nice event for the weekend, and it just popped into my head when you were doing announcements. I think Mac was planning on coming in next weekend, but
Yep.
since you're not meeting, thought maybe I should just at least mention it.
Okay, thank you.
Full encampment, full colonial encampment.
Claire, is the militia doing the parade in Marion for the 4th also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
You might
And
want to
then
announce
they
that,
come
too.
to the town green and fire their muskets on the town green.
As long as they don't shoot me, it's fine. Thank you very
The
much.
cannon firing is a lot of fun, so if anybody hasn't witnessed that, there'll be, I think, every half hour cannon firing. What's that? Oh, that was a different cat. I had the honor of firing the cannon at Fort Phoenix on Memorial Day weekend with 10 pounds of gunpowder. It was quite an honor to be able to do it. It was quite an experience. And yes, I did come off off the asphalt about 2 or 3 inches when it went off.
As long as you didn't go forward.
Thank you. There was one other person. Come on up, please. Good evening.
Evening, dear.
Thank you, Sandy Slavin. I know Mr. Slavin mentioned the 4th activity for the Historical Society. I would like to expand on that. Yes, the car show is at Tremont Nail from 9 to 2. The Antique Fair is on the Town Green from 8 to 2. There is a $4 entrance fee. This is a major fundraiser for the Historical Society, and that entrance to the Antique Fair includes a tour of the Faring Tavern. The car show is a $10 donation per car, and that includes access to the Green and to the Faring Tavern. We will have crafts at the Roland Thatcher Fellowship Hall on Gibbs. We will have a kitchen with goodies. Let me see. We'll have the militia on the Green. And a bake table. So there's a lot of happenings on July 4th, so please come out and support the Historical Society. This is our major fundraiser to help maintain the 5 buildings that we own. Last meeting, Ms. Whiteside mentioned 2 committees that needed members. I'm going to expand on that. The Affordable Housing Trust needs 2 people. Community Preservation Committee needs 1 person at large. Now, CPC has money and can do some things, so please step up, join us, and help with the spending of that money. Minot Forest needs 2 people. Open Space needs 1 person, and those are just the committees I'm on. And I know there's a lot of other committees that are looking for volunteers. Thank you, and good 4th to everybody.
Thanks, you as well.
Can I
Okay,
just,
we have...
one other announcement?
Sure.
I'm hoping that Jerry is fine and staying at home and watching a baseball game.
Yeah, he's not here.
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, we have 1 appointment to the Wareham Cultural Council.
Yes, we do. Mary Nyman, who is not here.
It's a reappointment.
It's a reappointment. Basically make a motion to reappoint Mary Nyman to the Wareham Cultural Council for a
Second.
term to expire no later than June 30th, 2020.
Second.
Motion to reappoint by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. And what do we got there?
Road repairs.
Really? Was that the only appointment?
No. Yuji is on here.
Yeah. Is she there?
Yeah, check and see if there's more.
Sorry.
There we go.
What happens when you're red-green colorblind? Make a motion to appoint Ellen Yuji, also to the Wareham Cultural Council, to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2019.
Okay, motion
Second.
to reappoint by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstained, 400. Thanks.
It's welcome.
I swim with Ellen Yuji at the Y often. I would not want to have
She'll hurt you.
forgotten to
Yes.
do this. Town business, we have a repair to private roads request.
Yes, we have a request here. The invoice for the road repairs looks like $774.96. And this was last year. They want to do the same again this year. Here's my notes.
Yep.
And we've got a list of the butters on the road that's all signed on it.
Yep.
So I would make a motion, go ahead and do that. Of course, the money has to be, I believe, as early, check must be payable to the town. It's usually payments remitted before the work is done.
Second.
Okay, motion
And
to do the...
noting that the estimate does not include the cost of materials.
Right. Motion to perform the repairs by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstained, 400. We have a street sign.
No.
No.
What's that?
Here.
Is that?
Oh.
Oh, this was a approval for a street sign for a private way. I guess they have to pay money, so that's actually considered under the road repair.
Yes. Still has.
So do you have that as well?
Yes.
No, I just have the repair for the road, that's all I believe I have yet.
Check and see if it's not hiding in the back. Because I remember seeing this, because I questioned it, and I said, that's right, where it's a...
No, there's no paperwork for that yet either.
All right, I think the cost of the street sign was $37.
31.
31?
31, I have the...
Something,
I have
okay.
it right here.
All right, why don't you make the motion then?
Yep,
I
take care of those.
move that we approve the installation of a street sign, the Shore Road side of Upham Street for a total of $31. The invoice to be paid in full prior to the work being done by the Municipal Maintenance Department. And they do have the abutters.
All three.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve the sign by Selectman Whiteside, seconded by Selectman Scasiotti. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400 on that. Okay, follow up on Selectmen's initiative projects. Suppose we can hold off on that because we're missing a member. Discussion regarding Tremont nail status. I guess I'll turn it over to Mr. Sullivan at this point. And I'll jump in as needed.
Yeah, the Tremont Nail, we've been out there with the advisors, and we're real excited with everything that's gone on from mass development as well as the what can I think of their names?
Union Studio.
Union Studios. So, they're going to be coming up with the final presentation there, right?
Well, yeah, the final document, actually.
Yep.
Back to waiting on something from me on that. We have that going on. One of the things that's come up with this, there seems to be some confusion with some people. This is actually not part of the Parker Mills Historic District. If you look at the map from 1971, it includes the Fearing Tavern and some other stuff, but it does not include the Tremont Nail Factory property, which was acquired afterwards.
Doesn't include the Fearing Tavern either, by the way.
It doesn't, huh?
No, it does not.
That's interesting. I thought the Fearing Tavern was in there, but...
No, it's not. And only part of the Methodist Meeting Hall as well. I think the church and part of the school is also not in there. The Wareham Historic District Commission has been working for 5 years, 6 years to try and get this thing updated. I don't know exactly why it keeps getting delayed, but this has never been updated. This has been going on for a long time.
Yeah, I think the Wareham 2007 Wareham Preservation Plan incorrectly lists the buildings of Tremont Nail within the district. They are not.
Yeah.
And that's that's an important measure. So one of the things we've been working to move forward on this site. There's been a decade of nothing happening, and there's been plenty of opportunities for people to step up. So, we've been working hard. We've been bringing in organizations, quasi-state agencies. We've been working hard. We have people that are planning events there. We have activities. So, one thing I'd like to see is, what's the old saying, lead, move, follow, get out of the way, or
Something.
but I have to say there's been plenty of opportunities for people to come and step up on this, and what I don't want to see is that they step on it now.
Yeah, and I'll add to that there were not one but two public meetings regarding the Union Studio proposal for the feasibility study. Both were fairly well attended. The media covered them quite extensively as well. And so, I think there was a lot of public input garnered. But I have to say, at both of those meetings, not only was input garnered, but support for the proposals that they were laying out before everybody seemed to be pretty overwhelming. So, I think the final document, which will be produced very soon, will reflect the desires of the townspeople to get something going out there And, we are looking forward to moving forward on this. But I did want to make up, especially get to the point that it's not part of the historic district, and so none of those restrictions would apply. And we look forward to the final iteration of the Union Studio feasibility proposal. And once that's available, we'll certainly announce it here. We'll get a link up on the website to it, and we'll go from there. And I also understand that there may well be another event out there. It's a little premature to say exactly what and what time it is, but there may be a second event out there this summer, which will be nice to get people out there to see the site as well. Is there anything else you wanted to add to the?
No, I really, the event going on with the car show, I appreciate all the hard work on that, everything going. That's, I reached out to see if there was something we could work with on the July 4th Antique Fair and everything going on. People really stepped up, so thank you for all your help. One of the best things we can do is have people active on that site. And again, we had a decade of rot. Let's have a decade of progress, so.
Thank you.
Can I just add to that? May I?
Yeah.
I have always thought that the Tremont Nail location was a spectacular one. I'm not one of the ones who thought it was money badly spent. I've always thought it was money very well spent. You cannot replace historical buildings. What you can do is reimagine them and refocus on them. The location of the nail factory it's beautiful. It's beautiful at high tide, it's beautiful at low tide. It's beautiful in the sunrise and it's beautiful in the sunset. And as two of my peers have spoken, no one else has stepped up with an idea that makes sense, that is using the buildings, using the natural attributes that are there that you cannot replicate. So I'm excited to see what the proposal is, and I'm very excited about the reuse of the property.
Great, thank you. Let's see, next up, initial discussion regarding fall town meeting and potential warrant articles. There's a couple I can think of right off the top of my head. We've talked about looking at the sign bylaw, making a few tweaks, especially perhaps expanding the use of sandwich boards so that not just restaurants can use them. And also the discussion about the what they call the banana signs, which I know some people aesthetically like them and some people can't stand them, but
We can do that through, the board can make a list of things, then give it to the planning board, because they have to bring that through because that's.
yeah, they have to hold the hearing on it, but we can also get the planner on it as well as the town administrator.
Yes.
So if that's something the board would like to go ahead with, then perhaps you can alert
Ken,
Director Buckland on that.
that's fine.
Thanks. Another one I had was, I want to say it's got to be going back at least 6 months, maybe longer now. Representative Gifford, the town administrator, and I had a telephone conversation with the legislative liaison to the Alcohol Beverage Control Commission regarding what are called district licenses. Essentially, under state law now, under their regulations, the selectmen can declare districts where licenses can be sought from the legislature to be issued. Previously, we were stuck to just giving them to certain premises. You had to have a street address, and you would say, you know, legislature, please give us another liquor license for 3241 Cranberry Highway or whatever it was. And town meeting would pass the warrant article, then it would go up to the State House, legislature would pass it, the governor would sign it, but you could never move it from that location. We did send up a bill about a year ago looking to lift the legislative restrictions on what we call the premises-specific licenses, and that was met with a resulting smackdown. Resounding smackdown. They want that kind of control. When we ask them for a license for a specific place, they assume we have a darn good reason for it, and they don't want us shuffling around like a deck of cards. But what they do have as sort of an intermediate step is the idea that the selectmen could delineate districts and then ask for additional licenses within those districts. So the thought was to maybe carve the town up into 2 or 3 districts, you know, just draw it out on a plan, the selectmen vote on it, file it with the town clerk, so it's there for the state to look at if they ever want to see it, and then go to fall town meeting with requests for additional licenses in these districts.
Well, I think it's a great idea, but I also think it's part and parcel of the overall master plan design.
Well, it is and it is, and the bottom line is this. I don't think it really relates to the master plan that much. I mean, I would hope that anywhere in town where somebody wanted to open something up, as long as it wasn't a noxious use in a neighborhood, that we would want it to happen, whether it was, in some of the area on Cranberry Highway that could use some re-improvement, whether it's West Wareham where we've seen the growth, or whether it's in the village and perhaps even out at Tremont Nail going forward. So I think that rather than wait for the master plan to come to fruition in a year or so, we'd better to jump on this now.
I think, I'll check with Derek, I think this is part of the Modernization Act, because we're looking at doing an economic district as well, up by Cranberry Highway and West Wareham, as a piece of all this?
No, this is separate. This is allowing, we've had some licenses that have been, site-specific, and you really can't move them. However, if they're within a district, we can ask for them to be moved. So, for example, on High Street, we have the bed and breakfast that's never utilized the license. However, that license is site-specific for that. And that's an important asset that we have for the community that's not being used. That's an economic development driver.
Yeah.
So that could, if you have, let's call it the Narrows District there, and if a property were renovated by Bessie Park, let's say, and there were restaurants coming there, you could have that, for example.
Do we have to get the commercial property owners to agree to be in that district?
No.
No, this is actually, you as the Board of Selectmen could vote tonight for these districts, have them on file at the town clerk's office, and that would be good enough.
Then we should really just go ahead and put this on the agenda and not wait for town meeting.
Yeah, we still would have to, in order to secure the licenses for the districts, we would still have to go to the legislature to get the actual licenses, but we can set the districts up anytime.
We should be doing that, and then, because then we can go ahead and do this instead of waiting.
Yep.
I don't see any reason to
I'll put it on a July agenda, and we can figure out the districts.
wait it out.
Talk with the town planner and town administrator and come up with a proposal for the board to look at.
It's pretty straightforward, I think.
I will create for our use a map of where every license that we have issued is, so that we have it, because
You don't have anything better to do in the summer?
No, she's out of painting. All done painting.
An air-conditioned room and a computer are wonderful things.
Yes.
Okay, then.
Also, we talk about the moving of licenses. We had asked, actually at the governor's level, to propose, the change in the ruling for the cities and towns to be able to issue their own liquor license and take it away. We got some support. Unfortunately, we didn't get enough, and as Peter said, it got shot down at the House and at the Senate. It's back up again for discussion again, and the governor is discussing it as well, because this is one of the things with the Modernization Act and the Community Compact, all these programs that are coming in of trying to streamline the process and give the cities and towns control of areas that they should have, instead of the way it works now, is we're at the mercy of basically the House and Senate a lot of times. And, if our particular case doesn't resonate with the majority of the members, it doesn't go anywhere. So,
Well, I will say they've been pretty generous about
yeah.
passing this premises-specific requests we've sent up. I don't think they've denied any of those.
No, it slows the process on.
Oh, it does. It slows the process and makes it more cumbersome for business when they come here, and you say, yeah, wait till next February to apply because we don't have anything for you. So, okay, we'll get cracking on that and get that onto a July agenda. I think we do have one 48-hour piece of business.
No, I'm not.
Are you all set? What?
We have suggestions, too, for the fall town meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you did.
One would be a liquor license
What?
for Kendrick.
I am going to resubmit the bill that seems to be the target of every person who doesn't vote the same way I do in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and that is the mobile homes counted as affordable housing. One more time.
As long as you're the one who goes up and testifies on it, it's fine
Fine.
with me.
What I'd like to do with that also, Mrs. Whiteside, is to include with that the request that the DOR publish their report that was supposed to be done by February by legislature. This
February
past
of 2017.
17, basically posting the financial information required in order to move ahead on the couple of bills that were filed so they could actually vote to go ahead and take affordable units and classify them properly. And we were more than happy, as far as the town side, to accept 50% rather than the 100 we keep trying for. But it's extremely frustrating that as of today, the DOR still has not produced the numbers necessary to make the next step. So we need to keep after that.
Do we need a letter to our elected representatives in the legislature to ask them to
I've actually contacted both.
push the Department of Revenue to get this done?
And I've also pushed at the state level too, complaining about it. You
Well,
can go ahead and write a
If
letter.
you want a letter, then,
Why don't you go ahead and do a letter and we'll send it off again.
all right, well, let's at least get a consensus before I do
Send a
that.
letter.
You okay with that as well? Okay.
Great.
All right, you can fill me in on the specifics since you seem to be
Anything else?
on
Joe?
top of this issue.
The other piece we have that we've discussed before, we brought it up at town meeting some time ago, was, the clerk's position. The clerk's position in a lot of towns, cities, districts, et cetera, is an appointed position rather than elected. We have consensus from our town clerk that if this was something that came up at a actual, warrant article at town meeting in the fall, that she would support that based on the process that a committee would be formed in order to select that person, as we do for the, town administrator. So it's something we need to discuss if we want to bring it up this time or not.
Yeah, we can
have
put it on the
discussed
list of things to discuss.
We just need to figure out how we want to do it, but I just look at the district itself, the Wareham Fire and Water District, and the change was made there, and the district has become much more efficient. And I haven't seen anybody complain with any kickback at all on it. Because to me, maybe I'm wrong, but a clerk, treasurer, that type of position, or a clerk, really has to have skills. It should not be a political office, because it doesn't work. It's too important for the town. It really should be someone who has the skills, and we can actually get different people in and actually vet it out to try and get the best person possible, rather than making a political choice only. I know it's a little hard.
Yeah, we could take a look at it. We did run it before, and it did lose, but, if there's a better basis for it. Okay, so we'll put that on the list. Things to talk about.
We need to find out also if we're going to have any zoning come up. We'll check with Ken to see if there's anything that we need to add to whatever they're going to do for the fall town meeting.
Okay, I thought
have
the
a zoning
initial,
committee
yeah, we have
also.
the zoning study committee. I thought their initial focus was on cleaning up and that they'd made quite a bit of progress on that.
They've been reappointed for a year.
Right, but I think their initial focus was to look at the existing bylaw, fill in the blank spots in the use tables where there should be a yes or a Y for yes or an N for no, and there aren't any, to eliminate conflicts in there. I think they were doing that first, weren't they? So I think probably we should expect something from them.
Well, I think it'd be good for the board to look at that themselves and take a look, because if we're planning, and basically visioning, et cetera, whichever words you want to use as to how we want the town to move forward, which includes the master plan, we should be taking a look at the different blocks there for the different, like MR 30, R 130, et cetera, looking at the different things and see what's allowed and not allowed to make sure that it's going to fit in overall. And we can, again, we're allowed to make suggestions,
Yeah.
They have to come up with it, but it would be good for the board to be a little more active in their guidance and policies as far as we go. We can't tell up someone how to vote per se, but we can tell them where we think the town should be moving to make it better. And I
Yeah.
think we just don't do that enough.
Okay. Any other ideas, or? Okay.
And I'm sorry to
From you,
interrupt.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to go to the revolving funds, I need to accept them as a bylaw. Then you still need to do the annual appropriations every year. So we'll have, a bunch of those.
Another table?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
we're actually, no, those can't even be a table. We're going to have to vote them by bylaw, but we can do probably A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and see if we can't take them.
I have an idea. So I'll make it quick. We just have an annual loose leaf bylaw that is our table. Every year, we repeal the
just
old
vote to-
table
vote-
and we
vote
adopt
to-
the new one.
Vote to ratify the
We call it
bylaw.
a
Vote-
bylaw.
Yeah, just vote to re-ratify the bylaw every year, and it's in there.
Yeah.
And
Put it in the appendix of the Finance Committee handout and be done with it.
Sort of like we used to do with personnel bylaws.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that works.
exactly.
The other piece also is with Derek, working, again, with the Community Compact and the Modernization Act. There's different pieces in there that, things that we may have to, not may have to, but we probably should be enacting, looking at those, seeing what works for us and not, and moving forward. I know the Green Initiative, Mr. Sullivan has made a commitment to go ahead and try and get that done. There's certain pieces of that we'll have to make sure, again, in the zoning bylaws, that they fit in those pieces that it may not be there, so we can go ahead and become a green community.
Yeah, that's, some of those will be very, very simple, actually, such as, calling the Wareham Industrial Parks, having it as by, and as right for the industrial, for solar or wind farm type things. It's not to actually have those in there, but the actual R&D, research and development, or the manufacturing of them covers, and that covers really a big one. We know the stretch code is going to be one of the biggest. And speaking, we don't believe that would be for this fall town meeting. We're looking for April for something on that, really start getting information out there. You'll have to just, there's some sort of misnomer out there that we use parking funds to set the tax rate or something like that. We don't do that. You can, you can vote, we're going to vote that, I don't think we'd looked in the before through, I don't think Wareham adopted that through special legislation, special act before, so you just need to adopt those, and that's easy enough, and they'll just retain them in the receipts reserved for appropriation account. None of those monies are being transferred to the general fund. Again, it's an interesting story that we don't hear about those concerns from the stickers that we sell for that, from the people around Little Harbor and Swiss Beach and Swiss Neck, but apparently there's one village in town that is uber concerned about that.
I'm not saying anything.
That would be it right now. We'll probably look at a few more articles as they're coming forward. Again, I'd like to make sure that our priority is for a malt and wine pouring license for the folks over at Stone Path, and
Yep.
Be a nice piece.
So we'll do a premises one for them, once they come up with their ownership.
We can also take a quick look at the charter and stuff, and see what else we might have to clean up that's still loose. I know there was 4 or 5 items about a year ago, and we never got to them.
yeah, the interesting thing, I mean, one of the big points always, and we don't think about it till the end, is that the countdown to town meeting, especially April, when you consider that the elections are the first day of town meeting. It means, we're closing the warrants, almost in January sometime?
Virtually.
So that means you're finishing up October town meeting, the end of October, and you need to have all your other articles ready within 60 days, as well as doing your normal day job.
Yep. Yeah, it's a little tough.
In your budget.
Okey doke. We did have one piece of 48-hour business for the one day.
I don't know what we're going to do with that, because we didn't get paperwork, but I'm looking at the information that I got from Janet. And it says Paul Rose from the VFW will be bringing an application for a one-day liquor license for July 8th. But we're not meeting on the 4th, so there's no way we're going to be able to issue this.
Right.
And I think it's going to be a problem for whatever they have planned. I don't even know what it actually is, so if we go ahead and vote for something, we'd have to vote. I don't know, can we vote for it without knowing whether it's going to, I would imagine it's obviously going to be out in the ballpark on the outside, the facility there. And we'd have to guess on the hours, because we don't even know that.
Well, we can just give it to them for the day.
Why don't we do that? Because it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, because I don't want to try to guess what the hours are, because if we guess at night, then it'll be during the daytime. If we do it the other way around, it'll be at night. So let's just give them...
We need to get something in before, to have the they have to drop something off to us. I mean,
Yeah, they're going to have to get something in, and it's going to be conditioned upon them getting something to us
Yeah,
by Thursday.
I'll make a motion that for July 8th, we issue a one-day liquor license for the VFW based on the information they need to supply us before then, as far as the time frame, what it's for, et cetera, like we normally have.
By Thursday.
By Thursday's fine.
Okay, motion made by Clerk Slavin,
Second.
seconded by Selectman Scasiotti. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
Abstain.
We have a 3-0-1 on that one.
Okay.
Selectman Whiteside abstaining. Okay, Town Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You've probably noticed the bus stop in front of the Onset Pier. GATRA is going to be renovating that, including adding some solar lighting, some updated park benches, and they're really going to do a nice job with the plan. So we're pretty excited about that and appreciate all their hard work. They're also going to be putting some money towards one of the big belly solar trash compactors for that. Last night, crosswalk painting started, and you'll see they work at night. That's they try to minimize the impact. So we have a roughly 2 to 3 week time frame to get them all done throughout the town. Ironically, last night was the first start, and we received multiple complaints about them. So,
About them working?
about them not quite being where the old ones were, essentially, in the same exact spot. Some of the paint had hit the curbing, and that it wasn't all done at once. So it's it's interesting, but that's par for the course.
No good deed goes unpunished there.
We have the solar trash compactors for the village are estimated to come in on Friday.
Oh, nice.
So we'll have an install period on those as well. There's a total of 4 units. The Wareham ones will be sometime later next week. They are people have asked, what's that?
I mean, the onset will be?
No, where?
You said Wareham first.
I
No,
said
he said village.
Village, lots of
Village.
villages.
And Wareham was coming up later next week.
Okay. All right, gotcha.
These also, so they have the solar trash compact model, and then you have the recycling bin. The recycling is not the trash compactor, because if you do get that option, that also, because the strength of the trash compactor is not enough to pop open those bottles, they try and make it a little bit safer to work in that manner. So that wasn't worthwhile on the funds, but the trash portion is. They're actually pretty neat. I know, as being a parent, having kids in your arm and a trash bag in the other or something like that when you're trying to do anything, they actually have foot pedals. So you can step on the foot pedal to get them open. So there'll be a total of 4. The other item is, yes, Serped, we did work with Sandy Conity, and they'd applied for Green Communities technical assistance. One of the big things that you went over tonight, which probably needs to be addressed, is the road work for the private ways. Our grader of 30-plus years is down. We've had to send out to have a portion of it completely rebuilt. We expect to have that part back within the next week. We understand some folks are frustrated. However, we did explain that we have a 30-year-old grader for a community this size to do this sort of work. So I wouldn't be surprised if municipal maintenance is coming forward with a $300,000 to $400,000 item in the fall with capital.
Item, yeah.
So. And that is what we did get a grant, but I'm not going to talk about it to the next meeting because we haven't gotten all the paperwork signed, and I don't want to jinx it. So, thank you all. I wish you a happy and safe 4th of July.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. The holiday is July 4th, which would be Tuesday. Yep.
Okay, liaison initiative reports. Selectman Scasiotti, Selectman Whiteside, Clerk Slavin.
Planning Board met last night. They postponed the hearing for Bay Point due to the mediator not being available till, I believe it's July 24th, if I remember right. And there was the Fort, I think the Thatcher, there's going to be 2 buildings built where Navionics is. There's a piece of the property that's being subdivided out, and I think it's one of the government agencies. It may be the one down there where Morse is, way down over in Rochester. If you notice, there's a sign that the building is available for rent. It's one of the government agencies,
It's USDA.
USDA, and I believe that's going to be moving down into, next to the Navionics, into the industrial park.
So we
There-
poached that from Rochester, huh?
Yes.
There's going to be a request coming before the board of they have an easement with a local company on the site, and they're actually going to swap the easement sites, and the Board of Selectmen's going to have to approve that.
Yeah.
So that'll be part of it. We'll see no issue with it.
Yeah, I had discussed it with Bill Madden ahead of time as well, and I had told him I'd just have it come before the board. It's not a real issue. So it should take care of that as well.
With your permission, Mr. Chairman, their attorney has sent me draft documents relative to the confirmatory easement, and I've written back to him with a couple questions that I have about it.
Okay.
So I'll forward all that on to you when it's...
Yep, let us know when you're ready for us to
Thank you.
deal with it.
The one thing, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Slavin, with the
It's okay.
with Bay Point, I do want to point out that the developer and everybody was on board with pushing that off without the mediator being there. So there was no conflict. The developer was well aware of it and not upset, was happy, so.
No, the planning board was, I know people have looked at the length of the timeline here, but certainly in this instance, the planning board did the right thing. Since the mediator is essentially an arm of the court, sitting in the hearing when it's going on, it made all the sense in the world to postpone it at his request.
Actually, what happened last night was the planning board was under the impression that Bay Point had asked for the continuance. I was allowed to speak, and I explained exactly what happened and why, and it really was the town was really suggesting that to make things work properly, that we postpone it. So they understood finally that it was not Bay Point asking for the extension, because that was a little bit of...
I guess I'll change my email signature to a 24-point font. Apparently they don't understand who's getting what.
Just letting you know what happened on that one. The other thing also yesterday, everybody, if they don't know, should know that the Wareham Fire and Water District has a purchase and sell agreement with a date, I think, of about the end of the year for a piece of property across from Rosebrook for the potential for the new fire station. There's some possibility maybe Wareham also putting a police station on the other end of the property. There's nothing fixed on that. Myself, Ron Enos from the Prudential Committee, and Jim Kane from AD Makepeace actually met yesterday. We've been meeting off and on, just talking about the location. We were trying to see if we could find an alternate location for the fire station. Makepeace obviously owns a lot of land in town. The problem we have is you basically have to take a protractor and make a circle, and the fire department for the main place has to fit somewhere in that circle because of the response time required going everywhere. It was interesting. Unfortunately, as of today, we still have not come up with anything that's an alternative to what's existing right now. We all look at this piece of property, and we have a lot of development right across the street and more stuff coming, and we have to wonder, is this the best place for a fire station? Because we don't get any property taxes or anything out of that whole mess, and you're taking away a prime piece of real estate. So we're still looking, but, it's, I kind of left it with Mr. Kane over at Makepeace to see if he has any better ideas than I do at this point. Also, Mr.
And I can't imagine that the LaFrance Group would be too happy with us, with their nice working Marriott Hotel, having those.
Well, also you have those 2 buildings, the pads in Rosebrook that are supposed to be residential with about 64 or 68 units going in there. So we're still discussing it back and forth. It's a real difficult problem to solve easily. Mr. Sullivan also had been trying to work with the Onset Fire and Water District because they have an issue with their new fire complex that they need to build, because that's sitting over on the other side of Cranberry Highway, next to the water department. Of course, the residents in Onset all want the fire department still in Onset. I did make a suggestion to Mr. Kluber, after Mr. Sullivan mentioned to me, of having them look at Standpipe Hill and stuff. What's happened is, I spoke to Charlie about it, and I guess the water tower at Bay Point, I'm going to say is defective. It needs major repair. It's got to be shut down, which means the Onset Fire and Water Department has to build either a temporary or a secondary unit that has to have capacity for 400,000 gallons of water, and they were looking to put it up possibly at Standpipe Hill, because there is way down below.
Okay. And they have an easement on there for it.
And my suggestion to them, to Charlie, was, why don't you go look at Bay Point closely, see what your easement is, and see if you have any more property there. The most sense would be to put a second piece right next to the existing one. It would be the easiest possible, set up the hook from one to the other, et cetera. So they are looking at that as well, just so you know.
Yeah, I sort of lamented, it's interesting. Basically, the town of Wareham was not part on the building committee for the Onset Fire Station, so it was decided to go on this property and such, and saying, hey, this is the best, and that's not the most effective way to get it done.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that.
Well, I'll say it because I guess I can get yelled at. It continues to baffle not just myself, but many people. Now is the time, when you have two different districts trying to build buildings, to cooperate, if not consolidate. And I'm going to get hate emails and all that other stuff, but the fact of the matter is that it's not 100 and some odd years ago. It is today. The world is very different, and we know better, and we need to cooperate in order to make the best use of our resources.
Yeah.
How's that?
That should make Wareham week.
Okay. Consent agenda, I think we have an invoice from Attorney Bowen, or is that just a repeat that pops up here because we never quite know when he's going to give us one?
Yeah, he sends it every once in a while, but I got nothing today.
Okay.
There was one that I signed off for today, so I think we need one for the end of the fiscal year. So I would approve his last bill, so we're not going to October for a 9/10 vote when you folks are going to be meeting again. This was your June bill, right?
Yes, this was the last.
You know how much it was?
Yeah, it was for
The usual?
1,000 what?
15, hold on.
Oh, I thought you were going to pull out a matchbook or something.
It's a cocktail napkin.
Yeah. 8675309.
$15,416 and dollars and 67 cents. Does that sound right?
Do you know what the time frame was?
May 20th through, May 21st through June 20th.
Motion so made.
Second.
Okay, motion to pay the invoice by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. Solves that issue. Brings us up to
Adjourn.
second. Motion to adjourn by Selectman Whiteside, seconded by Selectman Scasiotti. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstained, 400. Thank you. Good night, Wareham.
Good night.